Well, Alice Shattuck, I want you to turn that frown upside down.
I'm grumpy.
No, you shouldn't be grumpy. We're
Why?
having a beautiful day. You look beautiful today.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
Compared to our long days, it hasn't been that much of a long day.
Feels like kind of a long day to me.
Well, for our long days, it hasn't been... I mean, we have been up, 13, 14 hours, whatever now. But compared to our long day...
I mean, I just
know.
got home like an hour ago.
Sure. Okay. If you guys hear Sally, if you see in the background, that is Sally Shattuck. She's trying out for a play. We had an audition tonight. She thought things went very well. That's good because things, they can go well. They can be disastrous. Alice and I just had a snippy fight about equipment for the... We got all sorts of stuff now. We've got a camera that's acting up. It's not really working very well. We've got... Google Play is not working for people, which we've just found out.
Yeah, somebody commented and said that. We didn't even know.
It's a SoundCloud thing,
happening.
too. We may be moving off of SoundCloud. I think we probably will, if we can find enough units in a day. Like, once again, it's been a month since I've written the Substack. So, so we're looking for... We have all sorts of stuff that we've got to fix there. And then we talk about, like... Do we buy new equipment? And then if we do, what's the commitment for the equipment? Because I want to go to 3 days. But I think we need 3 days because we don't have enough hours in the day to do anything else at all. It's just...
Well, right. I mean, like, if doing the podcast were both of our job, I think it would be a lot easier. But
yes.
We have a lot of other jobs that we do day to day.
Exactly.
Which makes it a little tricky. So I don't know what any of the answers to this are because making decisions about it also requires time. So
exactly.
For the moment, we're just coasting right along doing the same thing we're doing because nobody wants to make any decisions about anything because it's too hard. Exactly. But I'll look into the Google Podcast things and email various whatever and see if I can find the right people.
Now, once again, I was mentioned in the Kirk Minihane Show podcast, and I'm going to be setting the record straight on some of the things, including a delusion that Kirk himself has about the grade that he was in versus Dean McLaren, which is we'll talk about it in a bit. You don't have to worry about that now. You're not going to have to worry about that name, although that name is getting, both Nina and Keith now are getting some notoriety. I can imagine that, somehow...
Doesn't their dad listen to our show?
I think maybe. I think so. Or he said he has. I'm not quite sure. We'll talk about that stuff in a bit. They did have me laughing uproariously today, and they've made a mean meme as I'm the Joker or the Jared Loft or the shooter. James, what's his name?
I don't know. I thought it was just a Joker thing.
I think it was a little bit of both. The guy, the shooter from Colorado. But anyway, but it was just a laugh. But I will handle the incorrect record in just a little bit. There's a few things I want to get to, though. One is, holy God, we are really... I'm sorry. You can be... I understand that committee hearings are just pageants, that in Congress, it's all a show. These people are just asking stupid questions and doing gotcha things to raise money and go viral and this and that. But sometimes it sinks in just how bad and stupid some of these people are. This is Rep. Rashida Talib. She's a member of the squad. Challenging bank CEOs to agree to stop funding fossil fuels. This is a dumbass socialist woman who's a clueless psychotic. She is a psychotic. But she wants a promise from everybody that they're going to stop, funding fossil fuels. Which, of course, is a psychotic thing to say, but Jamie Dimon is one of the people who talks. What bank is he with? Bank of America or something?
I don't know.
He's one of the banks. Anyway, she goes down the line and asks for a commitment from all of these bank CEOs.
You have all committed, as you all know, to transition the emissions from lending and investment activities to align with pathways to net zero in 2050. Do you know what the International Energy Agency has said is required to meet our global 2050 net zero targets of limiting global temperature rise to 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit or 1.5 degrees Celsius? So no new fossil fuel production starting today. That's like zero. So I would like to ask all of you and go down the list, because again, you all have agreed to doing this. Please answer with a simple yes or no. Does your bank have a policy against funding new oil and gas products? Mr. Diamond.
Absolutely not, and that would be the road to hell for America.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Sir, you know what? Everybody that got relief from student loans has a bank account with your bank should probably take out their account and close their account. The fact that you're not even there to help relieve many of the folks that are in debt, extreme debt because of student loans.
This person is a psychotic. She should be in a padded room right now.
So the bank is supposed to just shut down all the student loan accounts, stop collecting them?
Because they've proven that they're mean already because they still have student loan accounts, and they should be forgiving those because of the student debt, the college people's debt, which for this socialist...
The banks gave them the money to go to college. Is that not... what the left wanted them to do is lend people money to go to college. I thought that was what the left wanted.
But also, like, it's interesting that she wants them to. She demands that the banks hand out money from everybody else to more college kids, and not the most oppressed class of Americans, the college. But she's a psychotic because she's yelling at him anyway because she wants all these people, these banks, to unplug right now from fossil fuels. These people are psychotics who won't be happy until there are fires in the streets and we are Venezuela. This is what this is. It's please make us Venezuela now.
And you're out there criticizing it. Ms. Frazier, how about you?
We will continue to invest in and support clients who are investing in fossil fuels and in helping them transition to cleaner energies.
And Mr. Minihane?
We are helping our clients make a transition, and that means we're lending to both oil and gas companies and to new energy companies and helping monitor their course towards the standards you're talking about.
Yeah, Mr. Sharp?
Excuse me, the same thing as Mr. Moynihan said.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you, Mr. Diamond, because you obviously don't care about working class people in frontline communities like ours that are facing huge amounts of high rates of asthma, respiratory issues, and so much more. Cancer rates are so high among my communities that I represent. So I'm not going to even ask you if you're committing to ending financing of new oil and gas projects. But Ms. Frazier, Mr. Minihane, Mr. Shea, we are living through a climate crisis today. And a commitment to net zero requires a commitment to ending fossil fuel financing. It is important because I want you all to know at the end, we're going to pay the cost of the public health impact. These are people that you're supposed to be serving, the folks that you're supposed to be providing and supporting in communities.
Yeah, and they need to heat their homes in the winter, so we're going to be financing
the gas company.
Right. She is a psychotic, and she is the dumbest person in that room talking to people much smarter than her in leagues more depth of knowledge in things she couldn't possibly begin to understand. These are people with real responsibility on their shoulders.
Well, and this is why I would like to see Congress lose the cameras altogether. Mm-hmm. In theory, they're having in these bank people to ask them questions and learn from them so that they can determine policy.
You have all committed, as you all know.
Right. So that's why they have these hearings in theory, as they're like trying to figure out how to make policy. They'll ask in a bunch of people like Mark Zuckerberg when they're talking about regulating social media companies or the banks or whatever. They have in all these people as like expert witnesses so that they can ask them questions about how stuff works so that they can make determinations about what laws should be. But instead, what we get is they invite in people they don't like, and then they just do a couple minutes of grandstanding for the cameras so that they can cut a campaign commercial with a snappy picture of Rashida Talib or AOC or whoever, angrily staring down the bank CEOs, and a good video where she's yelling at them for something really dumb, but they can use the footage and that's all they want out of it. And we're funding this stupidity. Like, take the cameras out and stop suggesting having them in the Supreme Court too. Get rid of them. This isn't helping anybody. It's terrible. It's terrible. Get rid of this, because this is, and the right is just as guilty of this. Ted Cruz does this. Josh Hawley does this. They all do it. They all act all self-important in front of the cameras all the time and ask idiotic questions and make idiotic statements to like try and slam dunk on people. I mean, like, even though I get it that it's satisfying because Fauci made everybody's lives miserable for 2 years, and like it's fun to watch Rand Paul dunk on him. Like even the stuff like that, like the camera shouldn't be in the room. Just stop doing this stuff. Stop giving the lawmakers these opportunities to just be actors in their own movies. Okay? Can we cut that out, please?
Here's Maxine Waters.
I remain concerned that branch closures across the country, which are often a consequence of mergers, are expanding banking deserts and harming communities that rely on branches for basic banking services. The committee will also examine banks' commitments to underserved communities as our nation's racial wealth gap widens and Black applicants and others continue to be discriminated against. I'm eager to hear about their efforts to ensure communities of color finally get fair opportunities to build generational wealth.
So what I get out of that?
We had food deserts. Now we have banking deserts.
Yeah. Well, what I get out of that, apart from the food desert, the banking desert thing, which is just some whatever. First of all, transactions are moving away from brick and mortar. If she didn't notice.
Yeah,
okay?
There's going to be more branch closures.
Right. And if she's bitching about inequities in bank loans, well, does she want to give out more bad loans again? It probably does, actually.
Yeah, she probably does want to give out more bad loans, and then she wants them forgiven when people don't pay them back.
Right.
That's what she wants to happen. And I mean, this idea that the banks exist to serve out racial justice and equity to the communities of color, the underserved communities, is so toxic. And they do it with everything. They do it with, what did we hear it with recently? The home inspectors. Remember
yes,
Kamala
that's
doing
right.
it with the home
Right.
inspectors? We need like more equity. In Massachusetts, did you see Maura Healey is going after car dealerships?
No, really?
So, like, apparently when car dealerships, at the end when they try and convince you to, like, buy all the extra stuff, like to Scotch guard your seats and, like, different, like, warranties and extra things.
Get the LL Bean interior or whatever.
A lot of those things, like, they have, like, discretion how much they charge for them. Like, it's not a set price, and they have the incentive to make it higher so that they get more commissions, right? So apparently somebody has done some analysis, and they charge people of color more on average. So Maura Healey's going after them. So that injustice will not stand.
It's funny because, Connecticut's a very diverse state, or much more diverse than Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's people of every color and every whatever there all over the place. It seems like everybody in Connecticut has a Beamer. Everybody, regardless of color, has a much better car than me.
But I mean, I don't even know, like, on the face of it, I haven't looked enough at, like, the data analysis and the numbers. Like, why would that be that the car dealership would charge people of color more? Can you think of any explanation?
Well, if you go in and you have a bad credit check, then you're going to pay more.
Could be bad credit. I mean, in general, though, like, if the idea is that they...
But how do they possibly know the race of the buyers?
Well, they must. They probably have to report it when they're giving financing and stuff because of all the, like, federal laws around, like, the reporting to make sure that you're, like, an equal opportunity lender and stuff. So all the financing, they probably have to report it. But it seems odd to me. And the other thing I noticed that was odd about the data that they reported was that there were way, way fewer buyers of color. Because you would think if somebody's a less qualified buyer that they have less money to spend, that the place would charge them less because they'd be less likely to overpay for something, if you're having trouble coming up with the money to get the car. So I don't really know. It did seem like in their data they had a lot fewer buyers of color. So my guess is that maybe, like, the data is just not enough to get a decent average. Maybe it's just literally, like, not good enough data. But I don't know. I'd have to see more in depth on the statistical analysis of it because it's suspect to me that car dealerships would systematically charge people of color more.
Of course not.
I don't even understand.
Do you think first of all, they're trying to upsell everybody constantly.
The most possible amount.
Exactly. They
always want everybody to pay the highest price. Yes. That's their goal.
A car dealer is seeing dollar signs, not race. the salesman.
Right. And it would seem to me to like fly in the face a little bit of like some of the other stereotyping, like the home inspectors thing. Like they say that home inspectors, they'll like, or home appraisers rather was the one that I was reading. Like they'll appraise houses owned by people of color less. So you could say like, I guess the argument would be that they like have some implicit bias that leads them to like think a house is less valuable or like think it's in a worse neighborhood or less nice because Black people live there. So like those kind of squishy gray factors, they're lowering down for people of color. Like, I guess I understand that argument, but I don't really understand the argument. Like if you think buyers of color are less qualified, why you would want to charge them more for something that you have discretion about how much to charge. Like you don't want them to buy the extra service. Like I don't really understand the point of the argument because they're already buying the car at that point. So I mean, like I don't get what they think is happening, and I don't really understand the data. But I guess we'll find out more.
It's such BS. It's so this idea of equity means that the search must always go on.
Yeah, we have to find new ways.
For somebody who is trying to create a society based on equal outcomes, it is a fruitless endeavor.
Well, right. And just in general, like the idea of going after people for transactions that they engage in willingly, like for somebody to come in afterwards and say like you were overcharged, regardless of like the equity race thing, I find weird. Like I remember there was this class action lawsuit. It was a little bit after I worked at the Chanel counter at the Macy's. So it was, but I still like knew people in the industry. So there was this class action lawsuit about like price fixing in the cosmetics industry between department stores. Like they all agreed to not go below the price or something. And so like everybody who bought things during that time got like some little discount rebate, how the class action lawsuits, it's never like a lot of money or anything.
Right.
But so I just thought it was so weird. Like you agreed to buy the thing at the time for the price that it was. Like, and now somebody's coming in after and saying like, no, you were overcharged. Like, what do you mean? Like you agreed to pay. And that's like how I feel about this thing at the car dealerships. Like I mean, maybe there's some selection bias. Maybe fewer buyers of color agree to buy the extra add-ons, and the ones that do are the ones that can like really afford it, so they pay more. I don't know why it's happening. I'm just speculating because I haven't looked at the actual data, but I just like I don't believe the explanation that they're putting forward that the car dealerships are just racist and charging Black people more for the heck of it. Like
No.
It seems insane to me. I don't get the argument.
It's such BS. All right, I'm going to move on.
Okay.
I am, I love you, right? And I just recently this morning told you, just 20 minutes ago, told you look beautiful. And you do.
Thank you.
And you've lost weight. We both got good report cards today. We had our weigh in at Awaken 180.
Mm-hmm.
And how many pounds are you down, Alice? Is this an impertune in the
No,
bad
you can
question?
ask me that.
I'd like to ask you how many pounds you're down.
I am down 5.2 pounds.
But it's funny because wow, that's so much like weight on you because you're so much better sculpted now.
Wait, total? How much am I down?
Total, Alice.
Oh, I
yes.
thought you meant this week.
No.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down like 15 pounds total.
You're totally missing a shade of yourself. Your body is just, it's as if you've been working on it. You just look very thin and good and sleek and wonderful.
You too.
Well, yes, I am down 27 pounds.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's going. We're happy because we got bad report cards last week, and we're like, really? What? We seem to be doing most of the stuff right. I mean, it is funny that like tonight we had cabbage and it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It was really good. My cabbage, actually.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure there's ways to doctor it up more too.
And then I had like a cappuccino milkshake, and that was really good too.
You have cappuccino milkshake?
Well, it's the amaretto cappuccino packet. And
nice. But this is why I didn't want to break this to you, but I am now dating somebody else.
Who are you dating?
I don't know her name, but this is her. She's on Libs of TikTok. And she's pretty attractive. And you know what I like in a woman, right?
Crazy?
Correct.
When are we going to start banning MAGA Republicans from establishments?
She just took a shovel full of ramen.
If you're wearing the shirt and you're wearing the hat, don't come in my store. Don't come in my restaurant. Kick them out of the fucking bank. I don't care. They're repping it like a gang. And anywhere else, gang violence isn't tolerated. So why is it for them? They're just uneducated white people.
Woo.
Kick them out.
Kick them out, Alice. Kick him out. No banking, nowhere in. But you know what? Obviously, I love her, and she's pretty, and she's eating pasta that I love. So this is porn for me. But isn't that interesting? Why wouldn't she say that? She just saw Palpatine give a speech 2 weeks ago, saying how dangerous these people were. They're uneducated, right? She's learned that from watching, all these Colbert in the other late night comedians and Saturday Night Live. So, all the stereotypes, all the things. And because if you aren't educated, by the way, and you don't think like her and you vote for a different candidate, you should be kicked out of everything.
Yeah.
And tell me what kind of person she thinks she is.
A good person.
Exactly. She's a really good ramen-eating person. That's right. Who's got a big heart. You have a small heart. You're bad, because you're MAGA but you're not educated, so you can't go to any places anymore. Isn't it the left's reflexive willingness to subjugate classes of people, is so close to the surface. It doesn't take much at all. Right there, immediately. Don't let them into places where we are anymore. Don't let them into the banking system.
They're like a gang.
Don't let them into the banking system. That's all MAGA supporters. That means black ones, too. You can't bank anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is that they're trying, and Biden's trying, and they're trying to make it unacceptable to be a conservative publicly. And so far, they're obviously not entirely successful because lots of people are openly conservative. Not so much in Massachusetts. A lot of people are afraid in Massachusetts. But, it has a real impact. It does. Even though it's not fully taken its final form yet, we're not really living in communist Soviet Union yet, but we're inching towards it, and the left would like it to be that way. And you see people like her who are excited about it, and I don't know where it ends, but it doesn't end well. Have you've seen this case all these conservatives are reporting on too, with this guy Shannon Brandt, that ran over a teenager?
A teenager that had a political problem, and this guy's
Yeah.
out on bail, is he?
I don't know exactly what he's doing. I'm not 100% convinced he's not just a crazy person. Which, I mean, he seems to be saying it's a political thing, but I don't honestly know. He does not seem in totally sound mind, the things I've seen of him yet, so I'm not totally sure what his deal is exactly. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's that wild to imagine that the left will think it's okay to kill MAGA people. You're one step away. If you're all ready to kick them out of establishments, then you're partway there, And it's really these. I understand that the left has to say that everything that Republicans do is killing people, but
the descriptors she used: uneducated. In other words, didn't go to the 4-year school where she went, got blackout drunk and hooked up and got a useless degree at. The class indicator isn't there. So you shouldn't be able to have the same freedoms and liberties that other people have. Holy God, these people. What is this party? What is the Democratic Party anymore? Jesus, my neighbor across the street when I grew up, next to Keith and Dean McLaren, by the way, was a World War II veteran and Democrat, and came from working class beginnings and was all about, the Democratic Party being for the working class and providing the size of safety net was the debate at the time. What the role of government is for working people, etc. he didn't want to disenfranchise the rest of the people, subjugate half of the country. Actually fought a war to make sure that we all could be free. These people are just, I don't know. I don't want to use the term fascist because it's just overused now and it's useless.
Mm-hmm.
But God, but it's more pernicious than being an elitist. This is for somebody who wants to deem other people less American, less human than others, based on these accessories of the elite. Freaking, and she is not atypical. She is typical. It's freaking crazy.
Right. She obviously wouldn't make a TikTok of herself saying that stuff out loud unless saying things like that was applauded amongst her circle of peers.
You're absolutely right. And also, she doesn't think she said anything mean. No. It's just, obviously, they're not like us. They don't have the education that she has. They shouldn't be treated as equal human beings. Holy frig. And they're white people. Oh, because they're white people.
Just uneducated white people.
What a
Who cares?
dumbass. And of course she listens to NPR and they tell her again and again that she's learning something and she's a dumbass. Of course I do still love her, but she is a stupid. All right, where to next, Dallas? Where do you want to go next, homie?
Did you see Politico is reporting that the White House is all upset about Bill Maher?
Yeah, I saw that. He's daring to go document the immigrants in crisis on the border. And you can put Biden officials down there too if you want to. You could try to fix the problem if you want to. But
yeah, no, that's a non-starter. They're not going to try and fix the problem. That's crazy talk. They're just going to complain that reporters cover it.
Well, what I think they hate about it more is Bill Maher has essentially been deputized by Border Patrol. They're giving him every access to everywhere. Obviously, they hate Mayorkas, and they hate the Biden administration.
Of course they do.
Right.
Because they're making their job impossible. They're punishing them for things that aren't their fault, like
Yep.
the stupid Reigns stuff.
Yep.
They're making their lives miserable, calling them racists and all this stuff. And at the same time, increasing the illegal border crossings to unimaginable levels. We're already past 2 million people this year, and it's only going up. There's still like weeks left in the season when it's possible for people to cross. But yeah, the White House, once again, is all messaging and no solving the problem. They're mad that people are talking about people crossing the border, but they wouldn't think about the way to solve that being doing something about the border. That wouldn't even occur to them. The problem is the messaging. The problem is the reporters. So they're saying they're mad too because Ron DeSantis gave the story of the illegals going to Martha's Vineyard to Bill Maher to break too. That's who broke that. So they're pissed off. In recent days, several current and former White House and administration officials expressed to West Wing Playbook, this is in Politico, their increasing frustration with Malugin's on-air coverage, arguing that there is an alarmist quality to it, designed to feed political narratives rather than to illuminate the actual issues feeding the migrant crisis.
How fantastic.
Bill, you need to illuminate the actual issues a little bit more here. Last week, he was the first to break the news that Ron DeSantis had chartered 2 planes to fly 50 Venezuelan migrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard. And he followed up that story with appearances on Fox News Opinion Primetime. I notice they can't even say the words Tucker here, which some of Fox's straight news reporters notably avoid. In a series of exclusives on DeSantis' escalating fight with the Biden White House over migrants. Immigration has been a key issue that has filled many hours of programming for Fox News since its inception.
Oh,
the network regularly dispatches people to the border to cover illegal border crossings, stoking fears about caravans of immigrants. The coverage is often accompanied by stories of crimes committed despite studies showing immigrants have a lower propensity for committing such acts. But Malugin has helped usher in a new style of coverage of the issue by the network. He is part of a more technologically savvy generation of Fox reporters and producers whose work leans more heavily on on-the-ground reporting, augmented by soaring aerial drone footage of migrants crossing the border. Heaven forbid he show people actual footage of what's actually happening.
The word they're looking for is thorough.
Yeah, thorough, modern, high-tech reporting. the technique gives the story a dramatic visual. The technique gives the story a dramatic visual scale that Fox pundits use to bolster their arguments about the enormity of the problem. Fox has built up its flight team in recent years.
If you don't have 500 people walking across the river, you've got no problem with the scale of anything.
Yeah, the drones have nothing to tape footage of if you solve the actual problem. Stop videotaping us screwing up the border. Stop showing footage of it. Last year, Fox clashed with the Federal Aviation Administration when it said the agency restricted drone use in the area. As Malugin has become an increasingly visible figure on the network, his coverage has caught the attention of the White House, which has become increasingly irritated by his reporting. During a press conference last week, Jean-Pierre noted that Fox News got the heads up on the Martha's Vineyard flight before local, state, and federal agencies. One administration official who used to work on immigration issues told West Wing Playbook that the Biden team has complained about the lack of nuance in the network's coverage of the topic, which focuses more on the number of migrants rather than explaining the root causes of the situation. Another administration official believes the conservative network amps up border coverage whenever there are bad headlines for conservatives.
But here's the thing about the migrant crisis is that the border crisis happens when the people are crossing the border. You can root cause me all day, and we can talk about rolling blackouts in Honduras and crime and drugs and drought and whatever. The problem is when they're crossing the U.S. border. That's the problem. So that's why we're not talking about root problems, because the action item is that they're walking across the river into the United States. That's the action item. If they want to, the administration can feed CNN, access to Honduras and Venezuela day and night if they want to, and they can talk about what's going on down there. Most Americans, especially in border states, are concerned with what's going on the border.
Right. So, I mean, the other thing is, too, is, like, the root causes thing kills me when they're telling us that, like, that this is because of the collapse in Venezuela and stuff, when, like, 20 years ago, they were all heralding Venezuela's shift to socialism and telling us how great things were going. Do you remember that?
Well, they love Chavez. They love Chavez. McGovern used to go down and see him. The Massachusetts delegation especially loved Chavez.
And the whole thing where it was, like, this should be a model. Their socialism is working so well. We should look at this. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, am I imagining that this happened like 20 years ago? Like when I was in high school, weren't they saying how great Venezuela was going and we could learn from them and all this stuff?
Your congressman was saying that, yes.
So, like, maybe it's time to look back. Then if we're going to talk root causes, I'm willing to talk root causes. Why are all these people needing to escape from Venezuela? Mm-hmm. Can we talk about that part of the root causes?
Yeah.
Can we talk about how maybe some people were wrong about how well the switch to socialism was going? I mean, are we allowed to talk about that root cause and maybe talk about, the ways in which the country's government and economy should be reformed in order to not have people flowing into our country? Is anyone willing to talk about that? Because I have heard crickets from the left about the socialism collapse issue in Venezuela.
Right.
So, I mean, it's so disingenuous. It's so disingenuous for them to say, like, Fox is just showing the footage of people crossing the border and isn't explaining the root causes. When, like, they're the last people who want to address any actual root causes for anything.
Of course.
They don't want all these Latin American countries as, thriving democracies with free markets where people can do what they want and live and become prosperous.
Correct. All right, Albie. Excellent commentary. Can we go to the controversy of the day?
We're moving off politics now?
Well, yeah, I was going to move off politics on to, we've got a flare-up that has happened here today because of my appearance on the Kirk Minihane show. That was Sunday, and now we have, it's Thursday already. It continues to resonate, my visit to the Kirk Minihane show. Today, he referred to it as a trauma.
I understand, Kirk. I understand.
What do you mean? You deal with me every day I'm here talking to you. It's no different than when I was with Kirk, other than we were moving to different subjects, and he was the host and I was the guest. That's it. but there was I will say that there is something. It does feel like that something happened in that room on Sunday, and that I do feel like
the fabric of the universe has been torn irreparably.
Well, I do, when me and my friend Mike Giannino got lost in the woods in Vermont, and we were like lost in the woods for like 14 hours overnight, and the police were looking for us and this and that, and we were in this adventure, and it was harrowing. And I'll get into the whole thing sometime, and I probably should tell it sometime. But afterwards, like me and Mike didn't want to like see each other for a little bit. We had just both been traumatized by this night. It was weird. But I guess it was an odd night. I mean, when I get to Kirk's place, their studio, you were with me all day. We had a hectic day.
It was a long day.
We had a full long day in the morning, and then we had a hectic day at Fenway Park, and then, driving around Boston during the SOX traffic and parking and getting the hell out of there, and then finally dropping you guys off from Watertown and me getting into the studio in Watertown, and so like it should have been the closing of the day, it shouldn't have been the most remarkable thing, but it kind of was. So anyway, there's just a little clip here of his show today, and there are some things that he's factually wrong on, and I know this is provable, and he's suggesting that I'm wrong on this, and he's mischaracterized me many times. This is not a new thing. He could care less about truth. By the way, let me tell you something.
Okay.
Alice. The third best man in the United States of America right now? Third best, not first best. Third best man in the United States of America is who?
Mike Geary?
Sorry, that's our 4-year-old demanding that Alice wipe my butt. That was what he was just saying. Sorry about that. I don't know if that's a good luck for Mike Geary or not. But you're correct. You're correct. It is Mike Geary. He is a man among men. He is rock solid.
Do you need me to go?
Butt again. Yeah, okay. You want to go?
Yes, you stay here.
Okay. Try to be quick. We hear you. Jeez. Can he learn to wipe his own?
All of our boys didn't figure it out.
Okay. So I really should wait for Alex before the business, but I cannot say enough about. First of all, Mike Geary makes that show fantastic, the Minihane show. It's a great show. But also, obviously David Cullinane, if you guys know who he is the producer of the show. A classic snake, odd guy who stole when he worked for the promotions department of a radio station in Boston. He stole from the promotions department. He misrepresented himself for trying to book he got fired there. He misrepresented himself when trying to book Alan Dershowitz. Got fired for that one. Essentially, Jerry Callahan fired him for stealing the keys to the Legacy Club, a private VIP club, which he did. So he's but Geary is he's the second chair in that show, and he is fantastic. By the way, I follow him on, I think on Patreon. I subscribe to the show anyway. I guess maybe I don't follow him on Patreon. Is it the Blind Mike Experience? Is it what's Mike's
Blind Mike Project?
Blind Mike Project. Yeah. No. So I don't think we pay for it, but we do. I do subscribe. So here's Kirk today on talking about my appearance once again. Now 4 days later during his show today.
Today was Wednesday, by the way, not Thursday.
Oh, it is today Wednesday? All right. Okay. Sorry about that.
That Shabbat guy or whatever is the most idiotic person I've ever listened to.
Oh, sorry. That is him quoting Barstool Riggs, who is some loser at Barstool who goes around giving a tongue bath to golfers around. First of all, there's nobody more obnoxious than golfers themselves, but a golfing sycophant who goes and sucks up to other golfers, what a low person. So he's quoting...
How are your efforts to book Fred Couples going, by the way?
That's the kill shot for Dave. But I've got it in place that I could book him now. With people for
not
Odyssey.
With that audio out there saying that golfers are terrible.
Oh yeah. Well, don't worry about it. I've got a. You make a point actually, Alf. But he's quoting this guy Barstool Riggs.
That Shabbat guy or whatever is the most idiotic person I've ever listened to. Every single subject I broached, every single subject broached, he was wrong. Made Colleen look like Einstein.
Imagine having a dumb golfer tell you that I'm wrong. My politics, my thinking, my knowledge, depth of knowledge on subjects of the day are wrong. Some idiot golfer really goes sycophant, watches men golf all day and gets excited. Wow. What? Why are you laughing?
Just makes me
It's like I can take criticism for whatever. But when the jock community calls you dumb, you know that you're doing the right thing. Because I don't want him to agree with me. I don't think that any golfing.
Is this like how many people are you trying?
No. I don't think any
I
don't think any golfing groupie has a cranial capacity to make a good analyzation of anything I'm saying.
Analysis.
Analysis. Sure. You stick to your little golf cleats and you're getting a quick 18 in between sales meetings. What a wretched class of people.
Now, is he playing a character there? Because Cullinane said that he doesn't remember Shattuck being that much of a call people out kind of a guy.
I don't remember him calling people out the way he called out Carabas randomly.
Where's he going to do that on WTIC?
Well, he is
I think I called out Carabas on this show. I think I mentioned that Kirk brought me up to Carabas 8, 9, 10 months ago, whatever it was, and Carabas said immediately pulled the was it the Judas? When did the crow? No, when did the rooster bark? When Peter denied Jesus? What was it?
Let's not even. That was very confusing. Skip this one.
Okay. Well, no, it was a denial when he didn't give it a chance to. He didn't give the question a chance to marinate at all, and he just denied.
Show? He's a podcast, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
He didn't aggressively call people out on Jerry's show. But
you said he was the alpha on Jerry.
I mean, Jerry and I were talking politics. I'm sure that Barstool Riggs, the golfing sycophant, could outthink me and Jerry any day. But we were calling people out all the time on Jerry's show. I mean, politicians, newsmakers, etc. So it's not as if. By the way, I wrote columns too, calling people out, including our Republican governor. I didn't get offered a position in the communications office of Charlie Baker, because I had torpedoed his administration again and again in columns. I know I couldn't do it as good as Barstool sycophant groupie, hanger-on Riggs can, but I did okay.
Joe. Yeah, he had alpha tendency. Obviously, Jerry's always the alpha. He's Jerry Callahan.
Sure.
But he was on par with Jerry. He was on par with Jerry.
Really?
Yeah. He came in here the other night. He clearly was not the alpha in the room.
I don't know. That's not how I heard it.
I don't
Mike Geary.
What was going on?
Mike Geary for the win
going
again.
on. I don't understand what happened. Yeah. It's been a couple. It's like trauma. I'm still processing it. I'm not there yet.
I liked when he brought up Keith and Dean. You said, I can't believe I'm talking about this on my show for the obvious reason. No one knows who they are. Right. And his response was kind of like, come on, pussy. Address this issue. Don't try and skirt away from it.
Right, but related to that.
That is Mike Geary, by the way. Blind Mike Project. You should download. Great guy. Funny guy.
I like the idea
subscribe
that, so I said I knew Dean really well. I did. We very, he was grade younger than me, but one of his best friends, one of my best friends.
That is a lie. Dean and Kirk are in the same grade. Both of them revolved around Peter French, who was a great guy.
And so I knew Dean for years, and so I established that. And then Shaq's like, well, how do you know his older brother? I'm like, well, I know him. That's how, let me help you the mystery. Through Dean is how I knew Keith.
I like that Tom looks at life like you're still like an 8th grader and his brother's a junior. Right. How would you possibly have met him?
His house? I don't know. I just know the guy.
He doesn't know him. He does not know Keith. Keith was in my grade. Kirk was in Dean's grade. He does not know Keith. This is a false claim.
Did you ask Keith?
I could ask Keith right now. Or you know what? I don't want to let on that in case out of nowhere Keith's life changes that I had anything to do with it. I want them to organically.
Yeah, but yeah, and then and then he was like,
oh, you know what? That's a great idea. Let me text Keith.
What are you going to text Keith?
Hold on. Use Phil, please.
Well, I mean, this is a little tough for me because I'm not as intimately acquainted with the topic of Dean and Keith's grades in high school as you are. But I mean, it does happen that people's memories are off. Like, people remember things wrong. They've done all kinds of studies of this.
Why suddenly are you not backstabbing me when it comes to Minihane?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
You always side with him. He's wrong about that.
Again, to continue the Dean McLaren subject, he was like, no, he graduated the same year you did. I'm like, no, he definitely did not.
Yes, he did.
Like, I know what grade he's in. Like, I know, it's me. I know.
Well, he gets a rise out of you. He fires you up.
Yeah. Jesus. Do you think he was on coke legitimately, Colin?
No, I just think he's always had that kind of energy. It was just on steroids.
Any reason why he was wearing that sweater or whatever that was? Or that?
That's a good point. So I meant to wear a different vest, but the day turned out to be really hot. It was like in the 90s. Remember how hot the day was? So it was like the different vest was heavier vest. So then I just wore a T-shirt with a light vest because Mike Geary had worn that a couple days before, and I thought I'll just kind of dress like Mike dressed.
Vest?
No, he's just that's part of his
not
style.
a great vest.
Milton's
Admittedly.
vest? Was it Milton's vest?
No, it was
I hope not.
Where did I get that vest? The gray one? Is that from? Oh no, don't say it. Just in case, let's not say it.
Milton's
That would not be good.
Milton's going to close by 4.
I apologize.
We publicly apologize. If that's the case.
Definitely. That's a.
I couldn't see it. I was just asking.
Yeah, that's way worse than about the passcode to the. I don't know. Like, in your mind, how often would we use him?
Never. What?
Seriously.
Once a month, maybe.
Ooh.
How often would we use him? Alice?
What? I don't know how I'm supposed to react to that.
Is a month been extended?
First of all, once a month, they should want to use me more, but I don't know how we're going to make it work, obviously. I mean, my morning guy from my radio station actually texted me today and said, you know what, I don't think I like Jared Carabas either. The on-air guy.
He listens to the Kirk
Apparently
Minihane show?
He does. So if he listens, then it's all over the building. So I don't know how long this is. I don't know how long this can necessarily maintain, but we'll see.
Longer than 30 days. I was thinking like quarterly.
Oh, okay.
No?
Yeah, but I think he could settle in. Like, he could settle in after that. That was clear.
Settle in?
Quarterly?
I was quite settled in for 2 hours the other night.
You were very comfortable.
I was absolutely comfortable. I was a little nervous during the day beforehand. And, probably a little jittery the moment I got there, because it's new. I'm out in a new place. I don't know for sure if Kirk's not just going to take out a gun and just shoot me in the head. I wasn't sure, but I was absolutely settled in. I believe there wasn't too many times where I wasn't in on the conversation.
Yeah, you talked a lot. You were not a wallflower.
Doesn't seem like a compliment.
No, you were good.
I think he's a very funny character.
Yeah. And also, people
Mike
seem
Geary.
to like how crazy he was.
I think he actually fit in well with the show.
Yeah, I just think he's a lot. I think he would wear people out, I think, all the time.
Oh my God, the golfing community might not be able to take it, and they'd have to go doing whatever vacuous, stupid thing they usually do. All right, are you ready for? By the way, I'm going to release an image of Keith and Dean tonight onto the internet. Is there any harm in doing that?
I don't think so. I mean, did you want to ask them first just to make sure they're cool with it?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, you don't. It's a free country, but it might be a nice gesture.
I've just texted
so.
Keith. Keith, do you know Kirk Minihane? I have not gotten an answer as yet. He's probably saying, do I know this guy? Do I know this? Because he doesn't know him. He's never known him. All right, chat time. Ready, Alice?
All right.
I've taken us late. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Doing fine.
Once again, you look lovely, Alice.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, Tom. This is Michael from Cincinnati.
Oh.
I just saw your appearance on the Minihane show on YouTube, period. As one big middle-aged guy to another, please never leave the house with cargo shorts and a vest. I love your show, man.
Thank you, Michael.
Keep up the good work, but please look in the mirror before you leave the house.
Michael,
See you later.
That was an on-purpose style decision.
Yeah, no, that was planned. I actually had an outfit set aside for that show, and that was it. I am quite familiar, Michael, with the idea that my appearance itself, and especially cargo pants, once you're
all the dads wear cargo shorts,
right? No, but I did think that I looked rather disastrous. But I'll do another thing though. Is that the camera angle by the Minihane team, which is that snake Cullinane, is like he essentially installed the camera directly onto my primary fat roll. That enveloped most of the camera shot, and then my 8 chins. It's like, Jesus Christ. Kirk gets a nice desk to cover any flaws he has, etc. I get no desk. I'm out there naked, essentially.
I also think it's possible our lighting is better in here.
Yes, that's possible. Don't tell Dean's a snake. He doesn't want to have to do any of that stuff.
Hey, Burn Barrel, I need you to settle a debate.
Sure.
So I say the Holocaust was horrific, and my friend, he says it was kind of bad. Who's in the right here? Who's got the right argument here? Okay? Let me know.
Imagine having a friend who thought the Holocaust was kind of bad. I would say
I'm going to hand it to you on this one, Justin.
Yeah. I would say, Justin, that it was probably more than kind of bad. Yeah, I would say that to your friend.
I think that's safe.
So I heard a tale of there was this bike, and it was apparently on the campus of University of Kentucky, and it smelled of beer and vomit.
Remember
and
when
it
the
had
bike was at a frat party?
Panties.
Was it?
It called in from the frat party.
Oh, really?
It might have been when I was filling in. I don't remember.
Oh, you did a chat without me?
You don't remember this?
No, I don't.
You complimented me on how it went.
The chat. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Alice.
It's on its handlebars. I don't know. Could be Tom's bike. I don't know.
My bike is still in our shed, and that's where it shall remain.
Hey guys, just wanted to touch on a couple of things. First off,
Sure.
Alice, I'd say to you, don't worry about Kate Upton. I know that that's Tom's fantasy girl. I'd be more worried about Kirk Minihane because Minahane's a whole lot closer, and Tom seems to have a bigger man crush on Minihane than he does on Kate Upton.
Hey.
Switching gears
Incorrect.
on the potential switch to 3 days, I'd caution you to not send your listeners somewhere else for 2 days a week, as they might find a new love and never come back.
That is true, actually. If they test us versus the market, I think the market will suck them right away.
I'm not sure how your potential sponsor would feel about that either.
Yeah, we
and
talked to
again,
him yet?
getting back to Minihane,
not yet.
Minihane was able to do it because he had a built-in audience when he switched from 5 to 3. The other thing about Minihane is he does 2+ hours a day, so he's doing over 6 hours a week, where you guys are doing about 5. So again, just something to think about. And I've been a loyal listener since day one. I'd hate to see you go away or to have the show be hurt. And lastly, gas has gone up where I live about 45 cents a gallon in the last week. Haven't heard a whole lot of talk about that, but it may be something you want to dive into. Appreciate what you do and love the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a good point. Good point. We should check into the gas thing maybe for tomorrow. But yeah, so we're thinking about what to do with the. I mean, obviously, problematic for us would be to do it. Some of the older shows were longer. Some of our older shows were longer. But we're making it work for now on 5 days. We'll see. Right now, it's such a reflex that like it would be weird for us to be sitting downstairs now and not.
Yeah, we'd be having the same conversation just down in our living room instead of up here. So that I feel like we might as well. But yeah.
Hey, sexiest man alive, 1992.
Yes.
People magazine. I was just
Nick Nolte.
wondering. I know you got somebody who called your radio show, and I think their name was like Clitoris or something. I was just wondering if they've never had a roll around in the hay. Maybe they would like to have one with a celebrity like myself. All right, bye.
Yeah, it was Prince of Tides that Nolte was. That was Prince of Tides time. Yeah, I don't know. He had a rough. He's had a rough time since. I think.
Well, it
Gonna
sounds
go
like he
around
likes
the
Idris.
state of
What?
Sounds like he likes Idris.
Yeah. Well, she was great.
Indiana and try different tenderloins. One bite, everybody knows the rules. All right, let's go.
The joke is too that pork takes more than one bite, Alice. What a great idea! What a great idea, Alice. But I'm gonna be hanging. I'm gonna be part of the Barstool crew soon, right? Down there with Frank the Tank and Gaz,
Riggs, your new friend.
Riggs eating pizza, golfing with my bros. I'm part of
if there's anybody left in the building that you haven't called names.
Well, Jared doesn't work there anymore. He's moved on. So I'm doing my bidding for Mr. Portnoy right there, my new boss, by the way.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, everybody, you can find us on Twitter at BurnBarrelPod, at burnbarrelpodcast.com. I'll email around and see what the answer is on getting Google Podcasts to work. Again, thanks for letting us know that was happening. And yeah, you can find us everywhere else you listen to podcasts, apparently, including YouTube, Rumble, and email us burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com.